What happens when you find your purpose is that you are free. You're free. That's it. That's what's in it for you. Is that you are free from your own fears. Your fears are still there, but you know that you don't have to listen to them. You know that they don't control you, because that feeling of doing what you're supposed to do, you cannot deny it. It is undeniable once it gets going. Once you clear all the cobwebs, once you take away all of those structures that keep you off of your purpose, once you're there, there is no stopping you. There's no stopping you. And so that freedom to just go, 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 that's what's in it. That's what's in it for you. And there's a spiritual freedom in that too. There is, because when you are living your purpose, you're in touch with the nature of your consciousness and what you're here to do. And what you're here to do, that is bigger than any one person. That's big. It's as high as it gets. So you're actually living in that, we'll call it divine alignment. And that feeling that you get, it's not necessarily easy. It's not necessarily restful, but it is pure. It's pure and it's free. And there is nothing better than unchaining yourself from the servitude of your own fears.
My name is Zenga Caro. I'm founder of LightNet, and my passion and purpose is to make the impossible possible. I am here today with Dr. Tara Deliberto, who I have recognized in my own life as an incredible researcher of consciousness. She sits on the board of LightNet, and she comes from an incredible background of solving impossible problems. One of the things that the world has been grappling with is eating disorders, and Tara Deliberto has figured out the secret solution. She was head of research at Cornell University for the Eating Disorders program, and she was able to teach a methodology to different psychologists and therapists around the world for both inpatient and outpatient care that changes the conversation on eating disorders. She's also head of psychology at the Yuna.io app. Now, this is one of these incredible apps that mixes AI with incredible science and rigor, allowing it to sometimes even outperform Prozac in clinical studies. It is really getting traction, and it's incredible to have her genius on the world's biggest problems in the best way we can do this, scaling out to the world so that everyone can get access to world-class mental health. It is an honor to have her on the show this week.
I discovered my purpose to be a process, to be the process of learning how to be a loving, truthful, and helpful person. So what does that mean? What does it mean that my purpose is a process to be a loving, truthful, and helpful person? It means that it's not easy to be a loving, truthful, and helpful person. There are so many instances in a given day, in a given hour, in a given minute, where we could succumb to fear-driven divisiveness or cowardice or selfishness. There are so many opportunities to choose to operate from a place of fear. And so my purpose is to learn how to not do that, essentially, how to operate from a place of lovingness, of kindness, of compassion, of coherence. To me, alignment means operating from a place that is devoid of fear. That, well, maybe the fear is there, but you're not giving into it. You're operating from a centeredness and from your heart rather than giving into the ego, giving into what scares you, giving into what other people think you should do, and really sitting and listening to what is calling to you, what is true, and having the courage to step out regardless of the naysayers and potential rejection or failure, and doing what it is that calls to you from within. When I was deciding whether or not to become a psychologist, I was offered a semester-long internship at Sydney Children's Hospital in Australia, working with kids with cancer. And the hospital was located right on Bondi Beach, which is one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And I didn't know if I was cut out for the role of helping kids with cancer. I had never met a child with cancer. It felt really overwhelming. It felt really scary. And when I got to my internship and I'm looking down the road at the beach, and I thought to myself, I can either go, to the most beautiful beach in the world or confront all of the horrors that come with working in a hospital, that was a decision point for me. I could have made the decision to just skip out and not face all of that, not face my fears, not be of service, and not be honest by not honoring my commitment to do this and just kind of skip out, right? But that was a really pivotal moment for me where I made the choice to walk into that hospital and see what was in store, because I thought to myself, well, whether or not I do this, whether or not I personally face this, these kids are going to be in this hospital, and they're either going to have someone there to help them through it or not. And so that was a very sobering moment for me. And I think that it essentially changed my life, because that was the first really hard decision that I think I made up until that point. That was really cogent and what I would consider to be in alignment. It felt loving. It felt truthful. It felt like it was being of service. I mean, I didn't know how to do any of that yet, but I was at least intending to, right? And that choice, again and again and again, made over time, that process of choosing love, truth, and service has become my purpose. My purpose is to learn how to better make that choice, because that is the choice that's liberating. That is the choice that allows everything else to flow forth. That's the most upstream choice that I could make, that has led to research in suicidality that I've done, developments in the treatment for the second deadliest mental illness, eating disorders, development of a very low cost, very high quality, scalable mental health support solution with Yuna, right? So those decisions, those were all really hard decisions to make. And they're the ones that have created a feeling of solidity in myself and the ability to help and be of service and not be in servitude to my own fears, but rather of service to the collective. And everything for me flows from that. My happiness, my fulfillment, my ability to mother, my ability to be a co-founder, my ability to be a friend, my ability to be a leader, all of that is supported by what I believe my purpose to be, which is actually to learn at the highest level, or we could think of it as at the most fundamental level, at the most basic first principles level. That is what's happening for me, to make that choice and to lead from that place. When people are faced with that choice between doing what's easy, sticking to the script, sticking to the programming of people, telling them what they should do and then following those orders, rather than taking a critical look at that psychological setup and going inward and seeing what comes forth, what calls to the person. I think that decision, it's a multi-step process, right? So it involves all of the things that I've just described, but ultimately there is a free will choice that's made to do what feels, how do I put this? A fundamental choice to do what feels inevitable almost. Okay, so let me explain this. So when I'm thinking about living my purpose, it feels at this point that there's not even a choice. It's almost like it's given to me, right? The purpose to help as a psychologist by studying suicide or developing eating disorder interventions or using AI to close the treatment gap in the mental health landscape. All of these things are born out of a hair on fire desire to do it. And that hair on fire desire comes from being unencumbered by the fears. So it's once you strip away all of the programming and all of the fears, you're left with something that is undeniable. And what is undeniable, that is your purpose. In the eating disorder treatment that I created, at the foundation of it is a full acceptance of the body and an understanding that the body is not the self. We've been taught, especially women, have been taught that we are equal to our bodies. We are how we look, we're how much we weigh, we're how old we are, all of these numbers, right? We're reduced down to these objectively measurable things. But we're not a thing, we're a being. And when we think of ourselves as how old we are, what our dress size is, etc., we are denying our true divine conscious beingness. And so to recognize through the recovery of an eating disorder that we are not our bodies, we are so much more. That really is the goal. And that is borne out in so many different ways. It's borne out through 2 years worth of treatment techniques that involve intervention and other people helping to eat and gain weight and recover if the person is underweight or stop harming themselves, etc. There are so many different techniques there, but all of them really are in service of understanding that we are so much more than the sum of our parts. I was working in eating disorders when I realized that I had kind of hit my limit in terms of what I could contribute. I already had published a manual teaching clinicians how to treat eating disorders. I made 400 pages of resources freely available. I've taught many recorded lectures on how to do eating disorder treatment, opened up a program that still exists at a hospital. But it felt like there was maybe more for me. So I had contributed and fulfilled my purpose, and that felt really complete. And so I wasn't exactly sure where to turn next. I was searching a bit for what the next move was. And I really wanted to go into the consciousness space headlong, but it felt to me that there really was a step that I couldn't skip over, which is to codify all of the 20-year experience that I've had as a psychologist, not just in eating disorders, but in suicide research and treating OCD, anxiety, depression, mood disorders, basically anything that exists as a psychological disorder, I've treated it. And so to put all of that somewhere for posterity in a way that would be helpful for people felt like a really important move. So I didn't know what to do. And I was invited to something called the Bhutan Innovation Forum in the country of Bhutan, where I met investors in this company called Yuna. And all I was hearing about was Yuna, 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 Yuna the entire time I was in Bhutan. And I thought, what is this Yuna thing that everybody's talking about? So I come to find out that Yuna is an AI-powered mental health coaching app that is very low cost, very scalable, and that they needed someone at the company that essentially fit my description, which is a treatment innovator, not necessarily just an academic scientist, psychologist, or a therapist, but someone who has innovated in the treatment space. And I thought, I'm perfect for this. It felt like fate, but it was really scary because this is uncharted territory. AI is the Wild West. There are currently no regulations, really, about what we can do with AI. They're emerging, but they're not consistent. Different states have different laws. There's no precedent for a licensed psychologist to be working in this AI space. A million different things could go wrong, right? Someone can hurt themselves while using the app. You can get into very easily the what ifs. What if something horrible happens? What if my reputation's ruined? What if I can't trust my co-founders to do the right thing, right? But I got quiet and I listened to what was intuitively coming to me, which was, this is going to work. This thing is going to work. These people are the right people. These are people who hustle, who are humble, who know that they don't know what they don't know, who know enough that they need a psychologist that does know on the team at the leadership level, not just a hired staff psychologist, not just 30 unpaid psychologists, for instance, like one big AI company, quote, hired, although they're not getting paid, to develop safety measures, but really at a foundational co-founder level to bring me onto the team as somebody who could ethically, morally, and clinically lead this product into the future. I thought, all right, this is an alignment. And I'm telling you, it has been scary every day since joining the co-founder team. There have been so many things that have come up that have scared me, but when I read the customer reviews, when I watch the video reels that people send in after their first session with Yuna, crying, thanking us for making this product, when we host these big demos at these big exhibitions and HR leaders are coming out of their demos crying, hugging me, asking me to take a picture with them as if I'm some sort of celebrity, like this kind of thing, just because they're so grateful that a product like this exists and they experience the need for it. They think about their friends, their family, their coworkers, people who they know who could have benefited from something like this. It's profound. And the reason why I really am so thrilled to be in this position of helping to co-create Yuna is because I myself needed these tools when I was 16, when I was struggling. I had to walk myself to the public library and read self-help books to try to figure it out myself, right? There were no resources. And many people still don't have access to resources. And that disparity is something that absolutely needs to be addressed. And I find my purpose in that. I find my ability to be loving, to be truthful, to be honest, to be ethical, to be of service in the role of tech co-founder, but it's not my identity. This is one thing that I'm doing to live my purpose. I'm not attaching my identity to it, and I'm not getting caught up in how much money I'm going to make from it necessarily, or the rejecting comments from my colleagues who are therapists who think that this is an awful thing and it can't replace therapy, which it's not intended to, or whatever. There's so much noise. There's so much noise. There are the naysayers, the people who idolize a person in this role, and all of it has to be ignored, because all of it, the praise, the rejection, all of it is a distraction from the purpose. And the purpose is to be loving, truthful, and to serve. The biggest struggle for me in living my purpose is to tune out all of that noise, all of the people saying that I shouldn't do it, or it's too risky, or that I should totally do it because I'm going to be rich, or whatever, right? All of the opinion, all of that external opinion, that isn't what guides the way. When we're children, we need our parents to tell us, no, don't touch the stove, it's hot, right? But at a certain level, we know not to touch the stove. And we need to tune our attention inward. And we need to discover for ourselves what we need to do. And we need to evolve past the point where we need that external validation or that external warning. We need to pay attention to our intuition that tells us, no, this thing's going to work. And it's going to work because I'm going to help make it work. And I'm going to make it work because I'm going to be ethical. And I'm going to work with people who are also ethical. And I'm going to make the right decisions. and to trust in your own fortitude, and to also trust that if you fail, it's okay and that you'll learn from it. That's the key. And it is hard. It is hard to stay on purpose. There are a million temptations. There are a million distractions. But once you're able to sit and listen to what's inside, and that hair on fire feeling comes of, I've got to do this or I'm going to explode. That's it. You go and you just tune out all those distractions. I think more people haven't found their purpose because it's hard. It's really hard. It's cognitively hard to understand that some people might have your best interest in mind, but they might not be giving you good advice. It's hard to understand that some people have learned lessons that have been helpful for them, but are not helpful for you. And it's hard to understand that we need to make our own mistakes. And it's hard emotionally to make mistakes. And it's hard to fail. And it's hard to take risks. And it's hard to have courage. And it's hard to be in fear and do it anyway. It's hard. And also, it's easy not to live your purpose, in the sense that maybe you're comfortable. Maybe your spouse covers your bills. Maybe you have an inheritance. Maybe a million things could happen to just make it easier to not go out there. Maybe you don't have any inheritance at all, like me. And maybe there are a million people telling you it's too expensive to get a PhD. That's for rich kids. You can't be a professor. You can't have college debt and do research. How are you going to support yourself? What happens if you don't get married or you get divorced? Or what happens if you get sick? Or what if? It's easier to stay comfortable, right? But when you're quiet and that hair on fire moment happens where you can't do anything but go forward, you can just blaze your own trail. It doesn't matter. You don't have to know all the details. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out along the way. And I'll tell you something else. When you're on your purpose, people notice it. And supporters come in to help because they know it's hard. Because supporters who have done it themselves, they've made it. And they recognize people along the way who are doing it and who don't have the support or the finances, or it would have been easier to make that simple choice of just staying comfortable, right? You don't know who it is that's going to come in to support you. It'll surprise you. It'll be people who you thought didn't like you, or it will be people who were once naysayers. It'll be the people who first told you that you shouldn't do it, who then admire you the most because they realize they could have done what they wanted to do. It's hard. It's a hard, lonely process at first, but only at first. And then when you're in alignment, all of the help comes. And it does come. What happens when you find your purpose is that you are free. You're free. That's it. That's what's in it for you. Is that you are free from your own fears. Your fears are still there, but you know that you don't have to listen to them. You know that they don't control you, because that feeling of doing what you're supposed to do, you cannot deny it. It is undeniable once it gets going. Once you clear all the cobwebs, once you take away all of those structures that keep you off of your purpose, once you're there, there is no stopping you. There's no stopping you. And so that freedom to just go, that's what's in it. That's what's in it for you. And there's a spiritual freedom in that too. There is, because when you are living your purpose, you're in touch with the nature of your consciousness and what you're here to do. And what you're here to do, that is bigger than any one person. That's big. It's as high as it gets. So you're actually living in that, we'll call it divine alignment. And that feeling that you get, it's not necessarily easy. It's not necessarily restful, but it is pure. It's pure and it's free. And there is nothing, 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 nothing better than unchaining yourself from the servitude of your own fears. Be the youest you. That's what I would say to the world. Be the youest you. The advice that I have for someone, perhaps like yourself, who hasn't found your purpose, is that it's okay. It's totally okay. Everyone who now knows their purpose once didn't know their purpose. And part of your purpose is to find your purpose, actually. That's part of the process. And how to do that? You can do that first by letting go of the expectation of what it is or what it should be. And in that process, you can let go of what people have told you that you should be. Start that introspective journey of letting go of that external expectation. It's hard. It's scary. You feel unmoored. You're used to having that solidity of advice from the outside, reinforcement from the outside, and being told what to do. But we all must get to that point in our own personal development, regardless of your age. Doesn't matter how old you are, right? There's a reason why you haven't found your purpose. It's probably because you've been exposed to certain things. And in a 1 + 1 = 2 kind of way, of course, you haven't found your purpose yet. It's okay. Accept it. That's fine. And from this point forward, you now have some direction of where to go. And knowing that you don't know where you're going, and that's okay. That's totally okay. So if you don't know what your purpose is, the first step is surrender, acceptance, quieting the mind, and starting to just test. Test what feels right. Maybe volunteer somewhere. Maybe help someone out. Help a friend in need. See how it feels to be of service. And then see if you can match your talents with that. And if you don't have any particular talents, you could develop them. We all have skills. We all can develop skill. So it's that perfect marriage between skill, the willingness to develop it, and feeling what ignites you. That's it. And it's trial and error sometimes, and that's okay. Trust in the process and trust that you'll get there. The effect that living your purpose has on others cannot be underestimated. It's so profound. It's so profound. Actually, last night I was on the phone with a friend and he said to me, Tara, you are so in alignment. It's really something, but I'll tell you, it doesn't cause ripples around you. And I said, okay, you know what? Maybe it was egocentric of me to assume that I'm causing ripples of change around me. Fine. And he said, no. You cause tsunamis. It causes tsunamis around you when you're in alignment. And those tsunamis, they're necessary because that energy wipes away all of those structures. When you are living your purpose, people see it. They recognize it. And it's really interesting what happens when people are first exposed to it. They kind of get quiet. And you see they're kind of processing. Like, oh, this is different. This is not what I was told. I was told that if you're a therapist, you can only make so much money, and you're not a real doctor, you can't prescribe medicine, so it's not worth it. But oh wait, okay, so this person, she's doing something different in the world. She's doing research. She's at an AI company. She's innovating treatments. She's spiritual. She talks about meditation. Oh, this doesn't fit into the description of what I was told that this person has to do. And there's a processing. And if that person sits with that long enough and they start applying it to themselves, then you see the tsunamis happening in their lives, right? The divorces, the breaking up of the friendships, the leaving the jobs, the going on a spiritual journey, the vision quest, whatever it is, right? People really, when they go for it, they start going for it. And it leaves a wake. It leaves a wake, and that's okay. And that's okay because when we are all living our purpose, if we can get to that state where we are all living our purpose, I think something that I can't even imagine would happen, which is that we would come as a species into coherence and we would all start resonating with one another at that same level. And once that happens, it feels as if that's the next evolutionary step for our species. And I don't know what it would mean for all of us to be resonating at that level, all living our divine purpose that is higher than what we understand. That's unimaginable. I've seen it in pockets, little clubs, little communities, little friend groups, conferences. But if that happens, when it happens, that we all start influencing one another with these tsunamis of alignment, who knows? Something wonderful will happen. I know that. That's all I know.